All right, we'll call the meeting to order. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, since Megan isn't here, I'll go ahead and do roll call since we haven't appointed a treasurer pro tem yet.
Yep.
So, all right, roll call is Mrs. Bloom.
Here.
Mrs. Espiritu.
Here.
Ms. Laird.
Here.
Mr. Price here. Mrs. Ray.
Here.
Okay. Now we need to appoint a treasurer pro tem since Megan is gone on a training.
She's at the Treasurers Conference.
Yep, treasurers conference. So,
Would you like to? It might be a way to get used to the flows of meetings. You want to? Sure. Okay, I nominate Mrs. Bloom.
okay. Any discussion on that? I guess we need a second.
Yeah, you would need a second.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Espiritu. Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Laird? Yes. Mrs. Spiritu? Yes. Mrs. Bloom? Yes. Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Rea? Yes.
Motion carried. So Mrs. Bloom is our treasurer pro tem for tonight. Next up, can I get a motion to approve the minutes for our regular meeting held March 28th, 2022, please? Motion by Mrs. Ray. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Espiritu. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Rea? Yes. Mrs. Spiritu? Yes. Me? Miss Laird? Yes. Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's carried. No walk-on items tonight?
No, sir, I have none this evening.
Legislative report?
None this evening.
Okay. Moving on to the community. First hearing of the public. Is there anyone that would like to address the board tonight? Yes, sir.
Make this quick so you get out early since no one had any reports.
If you could, when you're up there, just go ahead and state your name and address, please, for record.
My name is Chris Mullis. I live at 28 Pinewood Drive in Fremont, Ohio. Don't start that timer
I'm
yet.
going to say my finger's right here.
I got my eye on it.
Poised and ready to go.
Could you pass these out to each
Yes,
board
sir.
member for me, please?
Absolutely.
There's 6 of you here tonight, right? Do not sneak a peek at what's inside this folded piece of paper. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Lori Bloom, congratulations
Thank you.
as the newest board member. I sincerely hope you will remain steadfast to your values during your time on this board. Recently in Newsweek magazine, there was an article with Maribel Durat, whose son attends school in Los Angeles. Says he was vaccinated for pizza without her consent. The mother's 13-year-old son came home with a vaccination card after saying yes to being vaccinated in exchange for pizza at the Obama Global Prep Academy. The mother says she should have been asked for her consent. She stated her son has asthma and allergy problems. Parents whose children attend Buena Vista Middle School in Salinas, California, addressed concerns at a recent school board meeting over alleged coaching of students into the school's LGBTQIA club. These clubs are also known as GSA clubs. The young female student went to one meeting, chose not to return. Advisors of the school kept recruiting her, logging into her school computer account for additional information about her. Long and short of this story, administrators assigned her a male pronoun name and included this on her school records. Why do I mention these two incidents? In both cases, parents were not notified. In the first case, the person who signed the paperwork told the boy, "Please don't say anything," I don't want to get into trouble. You must understand these are not isolated cases in schools throughout America. I'd like to make 2 comments on Black History Month if I could. And recently we have had an appointment of a new associate Supreme Court justice. One of the justices I would like to mention is Clarence Thomas, and some defining words and thoughts he had on such hearings. He stated, one of the things you do in a hearing, you have to sit there and look attentively at people you know who have no idea what they're talking about. I guess this could reinforce the old theory, how is it possible that the dumbest 535 people in America all work in Washington, D.C.? A second person I enjoy when I have an opportunity to hear or read them speak words is Dr. Alveda King. When she speaks, it's though everybody throws open the windows and all the doors and stuff, and a breath of fresh air comes in. I appreciate every time she talks. On diversity, inclusion, on equity and equality program, previously I asked, why is it when a new program is introduced, community leaders are always the first to attend meetings and provide input? Why do we not approach common everyday citizens and parents for the ideas in the initial stages, rather than wait several years to invite them to a meeting? As is being done with the Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity program in Fremont and the Fremont school systems. And we know that the parents are not really invited until the last year of this. What is the cost to taxpayers each year for the DIE program to be implemented into the Fremont school system and its classrooms? And where and to whom is the money given? If you look closely at our schools in America and the children within these schools, you will see where many outside groups that have come into fashion as of late, I believe we are aware who they are, wish to make drastic changes while they have infused millions of dollars into their own coffers. Some are not using this money as intended. They choose to indoctrinate our children with a philosophy that right is wrong and wrong is right. By infusing equity into students' everyday instruction, schools across the country have dropped D and F grades, allowed the minority to silence the majority, allowed for the decline of expectations and accountability, implemented redos and retakes on assignments, no grades or penalties for homework, affinity groups forming in schools. This is a pet name used by critical race theory for racial segregation in our schools, curriculum that is divisive, exclusive, and of false virtues. Erosion of ethical standards in our nuclear family is also involved. Ask yourself who controls diversity, inclusion, and equity in this country. Parents need to speak out. Will we say 10, 20, or 30 years from now, why didn't we do something for our children? Did you ever imagine the possibility that XX females and XY males would not exist in sports? The words ladies and gentlemen or boys and girls no longer exist in America. Disney World has told us so. They will no longer use these words in their parks.
That's your
I'm
five.
sorry?
If you could go ahead and wrap up, that was 5 minutes.
Okay, could I just have a few seconds more?
Quick few seconds.
I
Yes.
see there's a big crowd. We live in a place where we all respect each other. Unfortunately, there are those who want to change America. If you look closely, one only needs to look at our schools and our children to see where it begins. I would like to end this with one last word, and now you may open up your piece of paper and see the one last word. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak. I wish I could stay around, but I'm going back up to Vermont to ski and get hurt again. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you.
That's it.
All right. Moving on, superintendent's report.
Yes, I have a few things tonight, surprise for the board's pleasure. Just so you know, we did take your strategic planning work to the district leadership team, fleshed out a few action steps and sort of started to fill in the gaps. How can we accomplish what you gave us to accomplish? So I'm excited to share that, but we yet have to show that to our other 4 board committees. That'd be the CQCC, Policy Committee, our Health and Wellness, and also our Finance Committee. And we'll be meeting with those over the next 4 or 5 weeks. So all those groups will see the board's work and sort of infuse their input. So that's kind of the next step, just to kind of keep you up to date on where that's going. Just really exciting. Morgan Schetzer is a senior, and you know, some of you may know Morgan. She was given the Franklin B. Walter All Scholastic Award for Sandusky County from North Central Ohio Educational Service Center. I want to say it again, for the county. So of all 6 schools in the county, she was chosen as the senior academically and just excellence award. So I want to give a special shout out to Morgan. I sent her a letter today and just want to make sure that we recognize that she did it, and that's of all the schools in the county. So very excited and very proud of her for that. We have a pastor's visit. I'm giving a tour for about 35 pastors have responded to come take a tour of Ross High School and also meet with our ACE mentors, mentoring people to try to maybe recruit some help through our churches. And also we're going to, the mayor is going to address the pastors as well. And kind of talk about programming and ways to get some volunteers involved. So we're pretty excited about that response. An overwhelmingly positive response from our faith community in town. That's on the 19th of April, that tour and meeting. I met this morning with Fremont Area Foundation, and the word is they're still going strong. They had elected some new leadership, but Fremont Area Foundation is still up and going. I just wanted to make sure I publicly made that announcement. Enjoyed the musical last weekend. I don't know if anybody got to make it, but they did a fabulous job. Not a lot of kids involved, kind of a small group, but the quality of their performance was really special. The demo at Ross is going well. I've heard that we need more bricks. I don't know if you saw online, but you know, we are going to keep bricks coming out to the front on North Street for those who would like a piece of memento or a piece of history from the building. We'll keep those bricks coming. I think we've kind of gotten behind on the demand. Maybe we didn't foresee the demand as high as we thought we would. And then the last piece is attended a meeting last week for a Communities of Excellence, and there were about 8 city leaders that met. Health Department, Terra, ProMedica, the city, GL Cap. I'm going to miss somebody, and I apologize already. But just another effort to try to make sure we're all using the same language. There's a Baldrige business model. Some of you may be familiar with the Baldrige business model. There's a public sector version of Baldrige, which is a program to help communication and organization and effectiveness between organizations. So starting up a new initiative with that whole group, which we're very excited about. And that's sort of my report this evening. If anybody have any questions about any of those things? It is spring break week, so it was nice and quiet in the office today. It tends to happen when there's, 4,000 less people around. It gets a little quieter. So, Mr. Price, if I may, I'll continue on the agenda.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Item 1 tonight, board, with your approval of our donations. If you look down, we have Faith Lutheran Church, Hal and Diane Hawk, Second Lieutenant Morgan Hawk. I think it's nice to see that. She's actually overseas right now. I saw Hal in a meeting today, and she's over there supporting efforts in Ukraine. So it's pretty exciting. Janet Miles, Jessica Reffner, and Lisa Taylor. All those would be accepted tonight with your approval.
Can I get a motion to approve item 1, please? Motion by Mrs. Ray. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Laird. Any discussion?
I have one comment. I really appreciate all of the donations, but for Janet Miles, who was a librarian for many years, for her to care enough about her previous position and our students to contribute. So I'd like to say thank you.
Absolutely. You can see her about every book fair. There she is, taking money and, selling books.
Precious to me.
Special.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Ray?
Yes.
Mrs. Laird? Yes. Me? Mrs. Spiritu? Yes. Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Moving on, item 2 in our student staff achievement is a paper test administration approval. We need the board's approval to keep our third grade reading guarantee for language arts as a paper and pencil test and not the computer-based test. And we've done that for a few years now. We have moved the math onto the computer, so that we think the kids are doing okay on the math with the computer. It seems to be a little more straightforward entering the information. But that technical challenge is just one hurdle we think kids don't need in third grade to try to prove how much they know. So with your permission, we'll continue what we've done in the past and use a paper third grade passing test, or language arts test.
Can I get a motion to approve item 2, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Laird. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Spiritu. Any discussion?
John, do you know when we might be at a 1-to-1 ratio at the elementary level with
Yes.
technical devices?
Yeah, and we're going to work our way down through the middle school. Oh, I better get to the microphone. We're going to work our way down through the middle school. So we were just talking about that this week. As we replace devices with our seniors, right? They'll pass out, and then we'll replace those, and those devices will come down here in the middle school. Right now, we've got 1 cart per pod or per team. So we'll bring over 300 or so. So that should cover maybe a third of this building. So I would, okay, I better, and Mrs. Hurdle, get me in trouble if I do them wrong, but I would say within 3 years, we'll probably be down into the elementaries. But our goal was to get the middle school up as quickly as possible.
I think it's a point worth making for families at home that may not realize that the test itself, if you can answer something correctly, but if it's based on how many you click and drag and drop into the right place, students who have access to a device continually will automatically score better. So it doesn't necessarily mean they know more in the content, but they have more practice.
Absolutely.
So I think it's really appropriate that we time that once our students have the same access as schools who are doing that.
Makes sense. Absolutely.
And I think since we went to the paper with my wife, with Tia teaching second grade, she's the grade before this third grade reading guarantee. And she said, Tom, it's absolutely ridiculous because they have to read and it's multiple pages. So then they have to, if they want to find the answer, they have to know how to click back and reread to know the content and everything and then type. And I said, just be prepared. If we keep going on this route that the state wants us to do, you're going to be teaching typing in second grade because they need to type out their answers. Well, for language arts, that can be a long answer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's the hunt and peck for them. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, so I'm glad that we were allowed to do that a few years ago.
Absolutely.
And go to that to help out because it's
a whole nother level, a whole nother skill set that really doesn't apply to what they are able to understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Kids are good on devices, on a phone or a video game. That doesn't mean a keyboard.
You got it.
So, especially in third grade.
For sure.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Laird?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhea?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Team, item 3 and 4 should look familiar to you. We learned since our last meeting that if we went half an hour more on our 2 summer interventions for K3 and 4-5, we would qualify for some federal dollars for meals. And underneath that limit, we didn't qualify. So we kind of huddled up and thought, well, let's just go ahead and stretch our day. It'll cost us a little more in staffing, but it's going to give us access to the food program for summer school, which we thought was worth doing. So it's back on for tonight for your approval to allow us to include the food program as part of our intervention.
Can I get a motion to approve items 3 and 4, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Laird. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Espiritu. Any discussion? That's a good thing.
Yeah.
If it
that's a
means that
good
the
thing.
kids are getting lunches or breakfast or whatever it is, and we can feed them, because some of them we know aren't getting fed. So
We also hope it'll up our enrollment. It can't hurt.
have that option.
Right.
Yeah,
Can't hurt.
absolutely.
That's right.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Laird?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom? Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhea?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Item 5, resignation for Alicia Crowell. Item 6 is approval for an appointment for Hannah Fuller as a certified staff substitute. Turning the page, also an appointment of secretary over at Atkinson. Georgette Finley is going to be helping us in that capacity. Also, at the bottom of item 6 is Leila Cluck as a support staff substitute. Item 7 are the 2 head coaches for fall. That will allow us to then start looking at assistant coaches. So with your approval, we'll get those on. That's Alex Caressel and Mr. Elder. Item 8 is a hourly rate revision. Just so you know, the explanation here is we have a custodian 1 position and a custodial 2 position, and they have a just slightly different responsibilities. 2 has a little bit more than the 1. What we've done for the substitute pay is lump them together at the higher levels. You know, we're struggling so hard to get custodial subs especially. We're just trying to correct that by just another incentivization of anyone who would come in, because you would come in as a sub probably as a 1 if it's 4 or 1. This way, though, they'll get the higher rate no matter what they come in as a custodian for. So it's a small amount, a couple dollars an hour, but we hope it makes a difference in getting a substitute. So that's what item 8 is this evening.
Can I get a motion to approve items 5 through 8, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Laird. Could I have a second?
Okay.
Second by Mrs. Bloom. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Laird?
Yes.
Me? Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Rea?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
All right, thank you very much. Item 9 is Volunteer Week, which is April 17th through 23. It's a resolution of National Volunteer Week. And just so you know, too, we have sort of all now fully pulled off all restrictions on visitors. You know, we would, for a long time, had no visitors. So we're completely back to normal, which is so exciting. So Volunteer Week is especially meaningful to us right now. Item 10, then, is School Library Media Month. I'm married to a librarian, so this one is especially important to me. So I appreciate that, and I do believe in libraries. I really, really do. You know, there's a lot of schools that even in their design didn't often put in libraries. We kept libraries. We believe in libraries here. So with your approval, we'll continue recognizing that with School Library Media Month.
Can I get a motion to approve items 9 and 10, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Spiritu. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Ray. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mrs. Ray?
Yes.
Yes. Mrs. Bloom? Mrs. Laird?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved. All right. Just moving on in our agenda, board member communications and information. Mrs. Bloom.
Well, congratulations to Morgan on her award. That's awesome.
Significant.
Yeah, it's really good.
She's in everything. She was here with the orchestra.
The orchestra.
Yeah, she was in orchestra.
Swims.
She swims. She's
She runs
student
cross
athlete.
country,
Yeah,
she's
you name it.
Yeah.
She's one of those. She's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see the donations people give. Wonderful that people can do that. And that's it.
Mrs. Spiritu.
I also like to say congratulations to Morgan. And of course, always thanks for the donations from the community. They're always helpful. And is all the staff off this week or?
All the 9-month folks are off this week.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they enjoy their vacation.
Corey's still at work, aren't you, Corey? Atta boy.
Corey.
In addition to that, I'd like to thank our local clergy. I think it's great that they're engaging our children through our public schools. And it's so nice to have that partnership and that they've, as a community, collectively reached to do that. So thank you so very much.
I think there were, out of 35, there were 2 that simply couldn't make it due to their schedule. There was not a single no response, not one.
That's wonderful.
Fabulous.
Mrs. Ray.
I mirror my colleagues as far as the donations and all the good things that are happening. If I were a little bit lighter, I'd probably be a little red because I won't say I'm offended, but I came from an era in reference to Mr. Miles, and I appreciate him coming in and sharing. But I came from an era where I could see the difference between the progress that our country has made in terms of inclusion, including everyone. And if it were not for those changes, I wouldn't be sitting here today with you guys. So for some changes, they're not good, but for others, I'm grateful because they impacted my life. And if it were not for those changes, I wouldn't have been able to get, as a single mom, an education, that I would not have gotten or otherwise. So some changes are good when it comes to equality. So I'm grateful for the good parts.
Bye.
Sorry.
Well, like everyone else, congratulations to Morgan. Great job this year. She's a senior this year, so she'll be moving on, but congratulations to her. Also, thank you for the donations, as always. It's great to see community involvement and everything, and good luck on spring sports. They're in full swing now. Baseball team is doing
4-0.
They're still undefeated.
Heard this morning, yeah.
So everything's in full swing now.
We have some
so.
really good track athletes. Yeah, it's going to be a good spring.
Yeah, it is. So with that, I would like to make a motion to move into executive session under item B. Could I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Ms. Laird. Any discussion? Just so everyone knows, there will be no action taken after the executive session. We'll come out of executive session and immediately adjourn. So, okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Plum, Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Mrs. Laird,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes,
Mrs. Rea.
Yes.
we will move into executive session then.
Thank you.